Hi guys, welcome back to the EMPWR podcast. I'm your host, Sam, and today is a very special episode. I am bringing on a very special human that means a lot to me, Ian, my other half. We're going to learn a little bit more about him and our relationship, but honestly, the bulk of today's show is going to be a Q&A. I feel like on Instagram, there are so many fun Q&As I do, and I never have enough time to really go into depth with some of these questions that I wish I had the time and space to do so. So today we're going to be doing all of that today. So Ian, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Babe, this is exciting.
Just like sitting on the couch.
Yeah, it's just like at home. But first, I feel like people that follow me on Instagram know you. I share you and you're a big part of my life. But for those that don't know you, do you want to share a little bit about yourself?
Oh man, it's a lot of pressure. I think just for me, one, went to college here, which is how I originally met you. And I guess we'll kind of get into that. But once I played college soccer here in Nashville, and then once I left, I went into the military for quite some time, went out to San Diego for about 10 years, was in the Navy, and then moved back here around 2019.
Hey, I need to pause really quick because I feel like you don't give yourself enough credit. You were just like in the Navy. You were a SEAL for a long time, which is a big deal.
I was a SEAL for my entire Navy career, so it's what I wanted to do. It's what I sought out to do, and it was probably one of the best times of my life. Very impactful part of my life, but moved back here, and obviously a few years later met you. So very brief about me, but that's all
I love it. I want to have like a total different episode on like perseverance and like structure and like so many things that you've helped me with just in my day-to-day routine that you probably like learned skill set wise as a SEAL. So I want to like talk more about your career as that. But so we actually met. We need to have like a whole nother episode on just like relationships and healthy relationships and things like that, because the way we met is kind of crazy. We actually met 19 years ago and then did not see each other for 19 years and re-met at our kids' gymnastics. And it wasn't until like our first date at coffee when we realized
we didn't know who each other were.
Yeah.
For all the 19 years.
I know.
Didn't know your name, nothing like that.
No.
So
I mean, I had seen you on like social media like a couple of years prior, and like the hot dad at gymnastics. But besides that,
the hot mom at gymnastics.
Yeah,
so.
I know. But yeah, so we need like a whole nother episode on that. But I wanted somebody on here with me today to help me answer these Q&As that I think will be really good. So should we share how we actually met 19 years ago?
Do you want to share it or do you want me to share it?
I feel like you're so much better at sharing the story, so I'm going to let you.
Like you get nervous talking about it.
I don't know.
Not better. It was at a house party that I was having. I was having some friends over, some people over.
And this was like 2000, I mean.
5? Maybe?
7, 6?
No, 5 or 6.
Yeah.
5 or 6. We're looking at, about 18, 19 years ago. So had some mutual friends, I guess. Do you want to dive into that?
I mean, why not? This is the place to be open. So basically, I had a friend in high school, and her older sister was dating Ian. That they ended up marrying each other. So, So
my ex's little sister, Sam, was her best friend that came over to my house. So had no idea who she was at that time, and this was obviously many, many years ago. But fast forward a long time frame and career shifts and life happening, we went to get coffee because we had both seen each other a lot and never said anything to each other really. And then went and got coffee and realized that my ex's sister went to the same school she did. And then that's how we kind of realized that was her best friend who had been at my house, because she knew exactly what my house looked like and a very specific instance.
Yes, like something about me and memories is like I remember every little detail, and like I remember that night I had met you 19 years ago. You were wearing like a cutoff white shirt that had like Belmont on it, and you had long hair at the time, which is why I don't think I remembered you, because like when I had met you again years later, you had short hair. So it wasn't until like coffee I was like, holy cow, that's the same person. So it was definitely kind of like a surreal moment. And I think that like after we both left coffee, we were like, okay, this is
very
crazy.
Serendipitous.
Yeah. Right? Is this a coincidence? Like, this is crazy. And I think we both knew at that moment, like, this is probably going to be something. And like, we just like both felt that like magnetic energy, which we'll have to talk about in a later episode.
Very strong draw.
Yes.
And pull to each other.
And we definitely tried to like not date for months. Like we were like friends only, but sometimes when things are just meant to be, it just happens. So
it's outside of our control.
It was. Yeah, I think so too. But I feel like we need to share like how you asked me to coffee though. Like we saw each other at gymnastics, but so what happened?
So we kept seeing each other at gymnastics, making some eye contact, but never talking. And then I was supposed to go to a birthday party for another mutual friend of ours, and not knowing that you were friends with her. And then I saw Sam on Instagram on her stories. And then I messaged her asking if she takes her son to the same gymnastics facility that I take my daughter to. And she had said yes. And I realized she's the one that I kept seeing all the time and trying to avoid, but also be right next to at some point. So once we realized that, then I said, all right, we definitely need to actually talk and meet and go grab coffee.
Yeah.
So.
I remember when I first saw you at gymnastics, you were like standing by the bleachers, just like eating an apple. And I was like, how does somebody look so attractive eating an apple like that? Like I could not stop staring at you. But yeah, it's so funny the way things work out.
Worked out very well.
Yes. All right. Should we get into some Q&As? I first want to share like the reason why I want to do Q&As. I want to do this often too, because I feel like on Instagram, there is only so much time and space and opportunity to go into depth. Where I feel like this podcast is going to be a great opportunity to just like dive deeper into so many of the questions I get asked on Instagram, like everything from nutrition to fitness to health to family life, right? And like personal things. So just like a place for me to really open up and connect with you guys. I think it's going to be really good. So should we get started?
Let's do some questions.
All right. And honestly, guys, I have not seen any of these. That was one thing I wanted, was to be organic with this and kind of answer in the moment. So don't give me too harder questions.
I also already have the answers in my head
of how you think I'm going to ask?
Or what I think you're going to say and what I think you should say.
Okay.
So I'm not sure which one's better at all. I will say the first question was, how did you and Ian meet? So that's
okay,
already,
so we answered
that
one.
On there. First impression of one another. That's an easy one.
I'll let you go first.
The most attractive human I've ever seen.
Aww.
Was my first impression.
Well, that's sweet. Thanks. Same.
You know that though.
Same.
You know that though. I would say, what's one of your favorite non-fitness things we do together as a couple?
Ooh, probably like traveling.
Yeah.
I feel like I did not travel before we started dating. I had like severe anxiety when it came to flying on airplanes. Like still do at moments, but you call me a lot, which is great. But I feel like I just was like, all right, I don't even want to fly and go anywhere because I don't like it. But I did not travel a lot. So I feel like now I'm at a point in my life where I just want to go explore, especially like having somebody that I enjoy spending time with. So traveling, probably. I feel like we're always on the go. Yeah. Like every weekend we don't have the kids. If we don't
have the kids, we're going somewhere.
Right.
Which is why we're tired.
I know. And this year is like a big year. There's going to be a lot of
You've made a substantial change in as far as your anxiety on flights, because it used to be you would hold on to me the entire time we were taking off or before we even started moving.
Yeah.
And now you're just typing away, doing some work.
I know. I think it was just one of those things, like the more you do it.
Yeah.
And again, I hadn't traveled a ton over the years. So it was like.
That was one of the things you said in the beginning, that you wanted to travel.
Yeah.
And we do.
Right. So I think that, right? When you say?
For you.
What's your favorite?
I would say for me, outside of fitness and outside of traveling, because obviously we had different traveling backgrounds, because I traveled quite a bit.
To the Middle East.
Like all over random places. Honestly, when we sit and connect and kind of just unwind from the day, it's usually when we're both on the go the entire time, all day long. Even if we're working out together, it's still a lot. And so when we can actually like calm down and it's quiet in the house, that's probably the most amount of relief in the day. So that's probably what I enjoy the most.
I do like those moments too. Those are nice.
Those are good. How do you find time for yourself balancing motherhood?
That one's a hard one. For those that don't know, I am divorced. So I have my kids half the time, and that was kind of like a learning process of, how to balance that. But, the unfortunate side is I don't get all the time with them. But the flip side of that is I am able to focus on other things the times that I don't have them. So, when I don't have them, that's when I'm doing as much work as I can, working out a ton, catching up around the house, doing the things that I know are going to take up time that I just want to kind of check off the box. When I'm with them, that's more of like the balancing part. And to be quite honest, just with the career I have now, it's very hard because I feel like my job, it never turns off. From social media to my app, to this podcast, other business endeavors, just as an entrepreneur, there's not like a cutoff time. And having been in the corporate world for 10 years prior, I was working 8 to 5 and I would close my laptop at 5 p.m. and be done. I can't do that now. And so when I pick up the kids and they come home, work stuff is still going. It's like, how do you balance that? And so something I've been working on is putting at least social media away, until they go to bed, and can bring it back out, edit, and do things I need to do after. But, those few hours after I pick them up and until they go to bed, just try to be better about not being on my phone. And that's something that you've helped me with so much. I feel like time management, you're just so good at, and you've taught me a lot since we've been together. But it's, a balancing act, and it's not always perfect. And there are definitely days that I have like the mom guilt at the end of the day. Like last night, remember? I got out of bed and you're like, where are you going? I'm like, I just want to give the boys a kiss because I felt like it was such a chaotic day. And I unfortunately did have to do some editing and things while they were playing in the house. But, that's the life I've chosen, and I'm trying to do the best that I can, but it's not easy. So I think to answer that, to wrap it up in a bow, is time management and just prioritizing the best that you can, and just knowing that it's not always going to be perfect. You got to give yourself grace, but as long as you feel yourself 100%, it's going to make you a better mom and be able to balance those things better.
Well, I think you do a good job of being intentional at times when they need it. So there's times when they just want to play and say mom 48 times in a row, and there's other times when you kind of shut it off and just give them your full attention so that they're going to remember those things and those times. Versus just mom gave me everything that I asked for. It's like, that's not the
and
purpose.
That's something that you told me one time was, because, with this job, there's a lot of travel and things away. You said they will remember the time spent with them and the quality of those times spent versus how many times I was away. And that kind of like really hit home with me of like, they're not going to be like, oh, mom was gone 8 times this year. It was, remember those memories with mom when we went to go get ice cream or we went to this fun event. Like, they're going to remember those moments. So just like being intentional, I feel like is huge.
Well, you also tell them too, like what we're going to do, right? So if we're going to do races or we're going to travel for something for work or whatever it might be, it's like you let them know what it is. Mom's going to compete in this, or mom's going to do this race, where it might be, and they kind of hold on to that stuff in their mind. Like, my mom's a badass and she's going to do this stuff, and then she takes care of us. So it's a lot of things that the more you tell them, the more they realize what you're doing, which is why you can't always give all of your time, but you also have a huge support group with our family being here and everything. So
yes, which I'm so thankful for.
Which helps quite a bit.
For sure.
A lot of the time. So I think you're doing a great job with that. But
thank you, babe.
All right, let's see what else we got here. What made you officially take the leap and change your career to focus on your online coaching career?
Good question. So
what did okay
make
you do that?
So this is kind of crazy. I've never shared this story before, but the year prior to me leaving, so it was 2022, because I left 2023, or no, when did I leave? 2024, this past year.
Yeah.
I just left. It feels like it's been 5 years.
Feels like it's been.
So 2023, for those that don't know, I was in the pharmaceutical industry for 10 years. I was in sales, and then at the end was in training, but I had lunch with a doctor, and she was really into horoscopes. And she kind of got all my information, did some like studying. I'm not honestly too educated with the horoscopes, but she kind of gave me like a deeper look into what my future looked like. And she was like, you're not going to be doing this forever. I was like, oh, interesting. She was like, you're going to be on a larger scale. And I see it, it's, you know, you helping women on a platform in some way. And I was like, okay, it's interesting. Like at this time, did not do anything on Instagram or anything. So that's one side of it. Now looking back, I'm like, that's crazy. That's wild. But honestly, towards the end of my pharma career, I just like did not feel fulfilled. And in my head, I'm like, we have one life to live. Like, am I going to be doing this forever and just retire out of this? Like, I want to have that feeling of providing purpose in a sense that also fuels me. Right. I knew that I was into nutrition and fitness and health, and I started seeing the impact it made in my own life and the way my body was changing and the way I felt. And I was like, you know what? I want to just do this on a larger scale. And so that's when I started sharing on Instagram. When I started, you know, becoming a little bit, you know, bigger and more of a public figure, I started getting a demand to do online coaching. And that's when I was like, wow, maybe I can make this a career. So that was kind of the jump I made, but it was also scary because being a single mom, I also have to provide, right? I got a mortgage, got to pay the bills, provide for the kids. So it was trying to find that sweet spot of going from pharmaceutical career to full-time one-on-one coaching and Instagram. And you have to have that sweet spot of like financially you're going to be okay, right? So for months it was me juggling both, which was a really stressful time, long hours. And I think it was just stressful of the uncertainty of what was going to come from it. But I am such a believer in just like taking signs from the universe and just trusting your gut. And there was one time I was driving with the boys, taking them to school. And at that time, things were really picking up with one-on-one coaching and my Instagram. And I just kind of like felt this weird urge to maybe be like, all right, maybe it's the right time to step away. And I always told myself I will know when it's time. But I just honestly like prayed. I said, God, just give me a sign if this is the right time for me to step away from my pharma career and go full time with this entrepreneurial lifestyle. And literally 5 seconds later, it stopped pouring, raining. The sun came out like in a huge rainbow right in front of my car. And I just like got this like overwhelming sense of peace. And I was like, that is what I needed. And I just like knew in that moment, like this is what I needed. So I literally turned in my 2 weeks notice, like 3 days later, and here we are. So always trust your gut.
Here we are. You do trust your gut on literally everything. And it always seems to work out pretty well.
So far. So that's a good
manifestation.
Sign.
That's your other big thing.
I am big on manifestation.
Like all the time.
All the time. I mean, you just have to be. I truly do believe it though.
I don't think I believed as much as I did until now, because watching you manifest the things that you've manifested.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. So
we need to get somebody on that's like into manifestation. Like
also horoscopes. I've never done that.
The horoscopes. I don't know.
I don't know if I'd be able to.
I feel like you're
fully get into it.
Yeah. I feel like you don't really like believe in that kind of stuff, do you?
No.
Well, maybe they'll change your mind. We'll have to find somebody.
I'm going to go to the same person you did. All right. Let's see. What else should we do? What's one thing you admire most about each other?
I think your ability to remain calm in stressful situations. It's wild. Like, we can have like a full agenda and chaos with the kids and me filming and, you know, kids screaming and somebody knocking on the door, and he's just so calm. It's going to be okay. It's not
that big of a deal. That's good. Kind of how I look at it. But,
and I feel like also with you being a SEAL, having been in other situations that are far more stressful,
it helps.
You look at life completely different.
A little bit differently, yeah.
Yeah.
That's just my perspective of it. So
yeah.
You do a good job.
Oh, I've gotten better.
You've gotten a lot better at handling stressful situations.
Yeah. How would you say?
For what I admire most, honestly, your ability to persevere and push through things. I mean, there's times when it does get very stressful, specifically for you, for deadlines and helping other women, whether it's, you know, coaching or whatever it might be. As stressed as you get and overwhelmed as you get, you still get it done. Like I've told you, it always works out. As stressed as you get, it always works out, and you manage to get through it all, and it always turns out nearly perfect. That's what you strive to do. So I'd say perseverance for you.
It's true though. Like, it does always work out.
It always
maybe not
works
the way
out.
you want, but I'm trying to remove that like perfectionist mentality this year. So
let's see. Who's more organized and who's more of a free spirit?
I mean, I'm definitely more of a free spirit. You're more organized. That's easy. Next.
A little more. Yeah, I would say that's probably pretty accurate. My big thing is the socks.
What do you mean? Oh, how they're like always mismatched. Yeah.
Always mismatched. I've never lost more socks in my entire life.
It's one of the gifts you get when you date me.
then
Expect to lose some socks when I do your laundry because...
How would you best describe your training style, and what do you enjoy the most?
Definitely like strength training.
Okay.
Like a little sprinkle of cardio. But I had always used just dumbbells for years, and then you actually introduced me to the barbell.
Welcome
to the other side. And that's when I really saw my body change, like composition wise. So I think now it's just like...
We'll add on to that. What's your favorite 3 things that you do with the barbell now that you've noticed the biggest changes?
Oh yeah. So probably back squats, deadlifts, strict press. Yeah. Okay. I just feel like with the barbell, I had always been so intimidated with it and been like, oh my gosh, that's for like CrossFitters, and I don't think I'm strong enough to use that. When in reality, it's like anybody can use a barbell. It just depends on how much weight you put on, right? But correct. Like the nice thing about the barbell is it's going to activate all of the muscles in your body. And like, that's when you're really going to build strength. So when I started using that, I just noticed my body composition changed. And I think doing the barbell alongside like dumbbells and, you know, machines in the gym, I kind of do it all. And that's like my newest program, Gym 1.0, is kind of focused around that, kind of what I do every day. But definitely like strength training. I feel like if you're listening to this podcast and you don't lift weights, maybe because you're nervous or afraid to get bulky, intimidated, lift those weights, lift those dumbbells. I promise you, your body will change in ways that you never thought would be possible. But obviously I'm a runner too. So that's like where the cardio comes in. I love running, interval running, training. But right now, like my style is a little bit different because I'm training for high rocks. So
let's go.
I know. So by the time this episode comes out, have already done High Rocks Vegas. Yeah. And then we have Atlanta in April. So
we're doing Atlanta. What, our 3rd one?
Yeah. So that's, you know, more endurance type of training, and you're doing a lot of wall balls and fast runs and ski erg, sled, push pull, all those. Everything. So it's totally different style, which is not for me. I don't think something I want to stay in forever, but it's really fun learning this sport and kind of tackling it. So
what do you like the most about High Rocks?
Goodness. I think for me, it's being able to like push yourself and just like stay at that threshold with all those different types of exercises. Like you hit 8 different type of workouts. So ski erg, wall balls, sled, push, pull, sandbag lunges, farmer's carry, burpee broad jumps, row. And then you run in between. So it's like the training part of that, like you have to train for that because it's long distances, a lot of meters for all of these workouts. So the training, I think, is the biggest part. And I think it's just been fun to push myself to be able to like maintain a good pace with all of those and just kind of see how far my body can go. It's just fun and brutal at the same time.
I'll say there's been some times.
Yeah. A couple tears.
There's been some times, maybe a couple tears.
Yeah.
But we got through it. See,
yeah.
It always works out.
Yeah.
You're doing well. You're doing very well. And I've enjoyed, doing it with you.
No, thanks.
I think we both wanted somebody to work out with and
for sure
enjoy that with and share it with. In fact, we get to do the competitions together is pretty cool.
I think so too.
I've enjoyed that part.
Me too.
Let's see. What's one lesson you actively teach your kids about fitness and health?
It's not even like a lesson that I think we teach them. It's more so of just like immersing themselves in that atmosphere, right? Like I want them to just see us working out, see us moving our body, telling them, hey, mom and dad, we're going to go to the gym. Like, I just want that to be a lifestyle for them. So it's, something that they eventually will do themselves. And, so I think the lesson in itself is just showing up every day and showing them what that looks like.
Well, they hear it too. Because
Yeah.
even when I have the boys, like, where's mom at? Like, Quinn might be like, oh, she's at the gym.
Yeah.
She's working out.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she is.
Yeah.
Or they know when I come back on certain days that I'm coming back from the gym. So they know, like, they hear it constantly. They know we work out a lot, work out in the backyard,
Right.
work out in the front yard. So,
and, I think with the lesson aspect, it's when they were really little, it was, why do you do this? Why do you all the whys? And, the reply was always because it makes mommy feel strong and feel good. And so for them to hopefully like associate the two is going to be good. And hopefully for them, that's something that they'll do too.
Well, to be strong, what's the other thing you do with the boys and with Reagan?
To be strong from a physical standpoint, like
what do you
work
repeat,
out, but
what do you repeat with them all the time?
Oh, their affirmations?
Yeah.
Yeah, we say it in their affirmations too.
So you teach them that stuff too?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them what they are or no?
Sure. Yeah. So we say with the kids every morning, I am strong, I am brave, I am smart, I am kind, and I am loved.
So now they do it every day?
Every day.
And so that repeat right there is crucial for them too, so they don't forget those types of things. I do with Reagan when she's not with you, but I like watching you do it with her because I think it resonates a lot with her.
Yeah. And it's just like, I think no matter what age you are, like affirmations should always be something that you do. I think it just rewires your brain. It's kind of like resets yourself, and like it really does help produce those endorphins. Like when you speak positivity to the universe, like I truly do believe that.
I would say you got me to say my first affirmations at year 38 of my life. So
there you go.
It's the first time I've ever done that. That's for sure. All right, let's see. What does a typical day in the life of a mom look like for you?
So every day is different.
Every day is different.
And I like sharing those on Instagram because they really do always look different. But where I'm at in my life, it's definitely like long hours. So waking up at 5 a.m., usually get my supplements, my coffee, catch up on some emails, look over my schedule that I set the night before, and have it like broken down to the exact time of like, 8:30 meeting, 9 a.m. workout. So kind of like look over what I have for the day. And then usually the boys are up around 6:30, feed them breakfast, get them dressed, get myself dressed, and take them to school, drop them off. We'll either come back home if I have meetings in the morning, or we'll go straight to go train. Usually train for about an hour and a half. And then I either have client calls. I'm either going to be editing content, filming content, team calls for a brand, or, something else business wise. And that can go until like at night, right? But Usually it's a working lunch, grabbing something on the go if I'm out.
Always working lunch.
Always working through lunch. And I try to take a break here and there. And even if it's just like catching up on housework, like just being able to kind of like clear my mind and pause. I'm like such a believer in taking breaks. Like it's so good for yourself. So even if it's like 5 minutes. But usually we'll pick up the boys, come home, we'll play, put them to bed, and then I go back to work and usually like edit for a little bit or, you know, set up a schedule for the next day and then try to get some sleep. Usually sleep by 10 p.m.
So would you say for the morning and night would be the few things you do that kind of set yourself up for the day, kind of like your routine that keeps you in check? Like what do you do?
I think red light therapy has like been a new big one for me. It just helps in so many ways, like reducing inflammation and just like having that moment to sit still for like 5 minutes and just like breathe and meditate and just kind of like reset is a great way to honestly start your morning and wind down. But I got my skincare routine, my supplement routine. I'm like so big on if I like forget a supplement, I'm like thrown out of whack. But at night, magnesium, like that's a big one too. Like I like having my magnesium tea, which you're on that train now.
Sure am.
Yeah. So it's like those little things that are like those non-negotiables. Mouth tape at night.
Yeah.
I need to like go through like a whole non-negotiable
routine schedule.
Yeah. Or like that's
what
like
things
some
you
good
do
content.
for work at night and in the morning? Like what sets you up? Get you going? Like time management side?
Just setting my schedule for sure.
Yeah. It's been a lot of figuring that out. Make it a little bit easier for your daily life. So how do you continue to prioritize your nutrition and workouts when life gets crazy? Like people struggling during the holidays or vacation. We just went on vacation, so you did it during that too.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is like, give yourself grace. Like, is it going to be perfect to where you think it would be? Probably not. And that's okay. But like, there's a few things that you can do that will help set you up for success. So if you try to focus on whole foods as much as you can, that's going to be huge. Cut out the processed foods and focus on prioritizing protein when you're out too. So, you know, when I'm on the go and maybe I didn't pack my meals, if I go to a restaurant or if we're traveling even and going to a restaurant, you know, trying to break apart the menu to where it's like whole foods. So like if there's like a chicken plate, like order grilled chicken, broccoli and sweet potatoes, right? Ask for them to cook it in butter or olive oil versus seed oils.
Every time.
Because so many restaurants use seed oils, and you know, having oils like that are ultra processed is going to definitely cause some damage to the gut in your bodies. So if you can swap it, that's always nice. But packing healthy snacks while you travel. So chopsticks, hard-boiled eggs, you know, nuts, protein powder, and bring a shaker bottle, and then you can fill up water from a gas station or wherever, water bottle, make your own protein shake. Just little things like that will help set you up for success. I think is key. And being hydrated, like drink your water and electrolytes with that. So
we're gonna have to drink a lot of water these next couple of days.
Yes. Yeah. So update.
We're on a 4-day, 96-hour fast with about, I think, 26 guys from our group of fitness guys that we work out with. And
that's a question I get asked a lot too, about fasting. I don't know if there's one on there, but about that, but
I mean, we can get into it, but I'll be honest, I've never done it intentionally.
Yeah.
So this will be the first time I've done it in training, just because you're out stuck somewhere and doing, you know, some training in the mountains, whatever it might be, and you're just not eating nearly as much. You're definitely in a fasted state, but this will be the first intentional time that I do any kind of fasting. So
there's so many great benefits.
We'll see how it goes.
There's so many great benefits. And I get asked a lot about like intermittent fasting and fasting. And I think it's definitely different for women versus men because we have hormones we have to think about that are completely different than men.
Right.
So intermittent fasting, I think, is a great tool. I personally like to do it once a week. So usually on a Sunday, stop eating at 6, don't eat the next day till about 12. And that really is enough time if you do that once a week to put your body in a state of autophagy, which is great, you know, for cell detoxification, just like resetting your gut, resetting your system in a sense, right? So it's great for that. Now, when you do it every day as a female, that's when a couple things come into play. So it could definitely mess up your hormones, right? Going that long every single day without eating. Also, when you do finally eat, is that enough time in that window to get the amount of protein your body needs to properly function, and carbs and fats? So if you are eating enough during that window, it might not be as harmful as if, you're not eating.
If you're getting your full caloric intake.
Yeah, but also too, the protein I think is huge too. Oh. I'm a big protein girly. So
I think my misconception, I guess, with most of the fasting is that even though you're fasting to a certain time frame, then you're eating in that window, people are still under eating in that window.
Correct.
Which creates just a bigger problem.
Right. So if you're only eating from 12 p.m. to 6 p.m., it's really hard to get in, 1,700 calories if that's what your body needs to function. More, 2,000, depending on what your size is. So that's hard.
Yeah. I think our big thing for the fast now is there's some guys that want to lose weight. Most of these guys are very in shape, dads 35 to 45, and that's not necessarily the case. It's more of like a mental challenge for them. Can you do it? And I'll be honest, I think I'm kind of past that point, but now it's just, I got peer pressured into it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do it. And
I think you're going to kill it. So next time you're on, we'll have to see how.
I'll probably hydrate more than I've hydrated in years.
Yeah.
Because the only thing I can do is drink water. So we'll see how it goes.
Drink the water and electrolytes.
Something. So, okay, here's a good one. Have you always been athletic, or were you active and athletic growing up? Sports, running, working out activities, anything like that?
So I know I talked a little bit about this in my solo episode, but the answer is no. So I was in the arts growing up, danced, did a lot of singing, acting, and I always wanted to be, and I would try out for volleyball, and I remember track and field, and they were like, sorry. So I never made the team, but I just wanted to be a part of it. So the will was there. I just did not have the athletic ability at that time. Always was still in shape, my great metabolism. But
did you practice at all? Or did you just go out for more of
oh, I definitely, my friend was
I want to be friends with these people.
Yeah, my friend was like, do you want to go to the volleyball tryouts? And I was like, yeah, let's go. And
So you were more for the social aspect.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I was a social butterfly. So yeah, that didn't happen. But no, I didn't start until honestly after college. I started, lifting weights. My parents kind of helped me get into it. They had been doing CrossFit at the time, helped me get into it. And it was I just needed a couple good sessions, and then I was hooked, and it's evolved over the time, started with just lifting. Then I started running a lot more, and then started really heavy lifting and using the barbell. And so it's been quite a journey, but no. And that just shows that you don't have to, have always been athletic to be in your top tier state. You can start later in life and you can do it.
I know a lot of people that have gotten the best shape of their life in their 30s and 40s because they weren't athletic when they were younger. So yeah. You keep improving. That's where we're at now. So we'll see what's next for that one.
We'll see.
I would say I was the complete opposite though. I was athletic the entire time and I didn't talk to anybody. It wasn't for social. It was I just wanted to compete and stuff. And it's kind of where I got to where I'm at two now. So
two different types over here.
Very two different types, but worked out. How long did it take you to really see changes in your physique, body composition after you dove into really getting into fitness? Maybe not just running, but everything, lifting too.
Yeah. So I think when I really started challenging myself with lifting heavier and utilizing the barbell, it was a good probably 8 months maybe, where I looked back at pictures and, I was very thin, low body fat. And this was after my marathon, low body fat, then saw my muscles because my body fat was lower, but I didn't have a lot of muscle mass. And that was something that when I went into 2024, I was like, okay, I really want to gain some good strength gains. And so started using the barbell December of 2023. And probably it was an 8-month span. I was looking back at old pictures and thinking, oh my gosh, I have a 6-pack now and my upper body has developed so much, and my quads, you can see these definitions, but it's filled out, and I think that's the biggest thing is consistency. It truly is. And just doing it day after day, and having a time-based goal is fine. I think that that's a great way to achieve your goals. And I talk about that a lot, but give yourself 6 months. Okay. Then when you get to that 6-month mark, look at how you feel, what your body looks like, reassess, and then go for another 6 months. And you'll be amazed after a year of doing that, like where your body is at. It truly is. And where your mind is at. It's not just physical. And that's something I talk about too, is like the mental side of it, just like feeling good, working out. It's amazing what
showing up.
Just showing up. Yeah. But what that can do to your mindset and just the way you feel. Like I truly am such a believer that like working out and taking care of your health and wellness in that sense can cure depression in some stances. So,
I mean, you always feel better when you leave the gym.
You really do.
Every time.
Every day. Every time. Like if I'm not in a great mood, he's always like,
just go to the gym, please.
Please go to the gym. Please go run.
Leave us alone. Just go to the gym.
Yeah. So, well, okay. I think we have time for like one more question. So,
all right. What was something you struggled with reframing or adapting a new mindset around when you were a beginner?
A beginner?
Yeah. Like when you were getting into your fitness journey, or when you really kind of started getting into, more dumbbell stuff or more barbell stuff, like what was your mindset, even the marathon training?
Yeah.
How did you reframe what you previously came from? Because for you, it's mostly a social aspect, but like what kind of changed or what kind of sparked, the adaptation to really get focused on your fitness journey and then just progressing to where you're at now?
Believing in myself that I can actually do it. I think growing up as, a theater kid and in the arts and a dancer, like I didn't think that I could ever reach this peak of athletic ability that I have now. And when I tell people that I didn't play sports growing up, they're like, what, really? Wow. And that just shows that you can start from the ground, right, like now. Bottom, and then right build up. Right. So I think in the beginning, there was definitely like some of that imposter syndrome of, can I do this marathon? Can I lift heavy? Can I use the barbell? Like, how do you use these machines in the gym? Like, and just starting from there and teaching myself and being confident in myself throughout that whole process. Cause it's a process, right? You're not going to just start day one and be good at it. But if you believe in yourself and just create a positive mindset and work hard, like you can get there. And so to think of where I'm at now, and then looking back at where I started, it's just like, wow, but it's truly because I believed in myself. And there are some days that are hard, obviously, where I'm like, I can't do this. Or, you have like negative mindset, and that's normal. Like we're human. But if 90% of the time you can be positive and just believe in yourself, like you can do amazing things.
You have.
So.
You're good.
Thanks, babe. All right. Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
Well, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. We'll have to do another one of these like soon, because there are so many, I feel like, on that list that
there's a lot of questions
to answer. So
there's a lot of questions
next time.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, guys, for listening to the EMPWR podcast. Again, I'm your host, Sam. Make sure that you guys leave us a review, rate us, and drop any questions that you might want to see for the next Q&A. And make sure if you're watching on YouTube that you subscribe to our channel and let us know what you want to see next.